Okay, so Chantal, do you want to kick us off or should I?
I can't get into my computer to get the script, so
Okay,
this is all on you.
all right. Okay, so at 8:02, I call this meeting to order per go through the script here. Let's make sure I'm doing the right one. We are using Zoom for this meeting, which allows for the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. The chair can request members of the public provide their names for purposes of keeping accurate minutes of the meeting. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to the meeting, and the registration link can be found in the description of the Nantucket Government TV YouTube live feed for the meeting. Attendees will join in the listening mode. They can click the raise hand button if they wish to speak. The chair will call on those who have raised their hands in order they are raised. All questions should be directed through the chair. As a preliminary matter, David Sharp, staff member, permit me to confirm all members and persons participating on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mary Malvez,
Here.
Liz Holland. You're muted, Liz.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, here.
Okay. Peter Morrison,
Here.
Matt Peel,
Here.
Garrison Beal,
Here.
Niles Parker,
Here.
and Chantal Blois Murphy.
Here.
Okay. Actually, staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. So Chantal, you've already said so. And at this point, we have no speakers. Good morning. This open meeting of the Visitor Services Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting of the Visitor Services Advisory Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note for this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees participating are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the meeting. Excuse us for a sec. Can we get here? All supporting materials have been provided members of this body and are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for the effective and clear conduct of the business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember that to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking, and please remember to clearly speak in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in the conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom, and members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. That's all.
All right. Thank you, David. All right, moving along. We have a pretty short agenda this month because of the lack of a visitor based on scheduling, which we can talk about that as we move forward. Welcome, everyone. Happy 2024. First item would be the approval of the December 12th minutes. Minutes have been circulated with the agenda. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? All right, seeing and hearing none, can I have a motion to approve as written?
Motion to approve?
Second. All right, thanks, Sarah. Second.
Second.
Yeah, any other discussion on the motion? Okay, we'll have to call a roll call on this. Liz Holland,
Approve.
Mary Malvase approved, Peter Morrison,
Approved.
Matt Peel,
Approve.
Garrison,
Approved.
Niles Parker,
Approved.
and Sarah. Thank you. All right, the
Approved,
minutes are approved as written. David, can you just make sure when you do this coming minutes that it says that Sarah has joined the meeting?
Yes,
Just 'cause, yeah, thank you. We all know Sarah's here, but we just want to make sure it gets in the minutes. Okay, moving along, as I said, short agenda. We have a director's report, and hopefully we can talk about some of the agenda items for the upcoming year or anything that Shanta thinks we need to address moving forward. Shanta?
Good morning again, everyone. So I don't have the placer information for the past month simply because I can't get into the computer to read you that stuff. But one of the things I wanted to mention again for this meeting is that we are going to start accepting new passport applications. Hopefully starting January 29th. I'm still waiting for the Department of State to mail me basically all the paperwork that we'll be using to process those applications. So it's tentatively the 29th. Stay tuned. There will be a web page going up on the Culture and Tourism's website in the next few weeks that will allow folks to book appointments. The application window is Monday and Wednesday from 8:30 to 12:30, and it is by appointment only. And again, this is for new passport applications. We can certainly help with passport renewals, but really there's no point in paying $35 for me to put something in the mail for people, because that's really what a passport renewal is. So that's something that's going to keep us busy for a little while. Here at Culture and Tourism, we are going to start working on hiring. I'm actually meeting with HR to rework a job description this Friday for the person that would have been the children's beach coordinator, but to give them a little bit more responsibility and really fill that role with a lot of the little tasks around visitor services and culture and tourism that it would be great to get filled, especially now that it's so hard to say out of the pandemic because COVID is rearing its head again at present, but you know what I mean. So that's going to be another exciting thing coming up for this upcoming season, and hopefully can look to it being a more full-time year-round position, but we'll see how that all shapes out. But I'll have more to report on that come the next meeting. That's really all of what we have going on that I'm working on in my role outside of the usual cultural district and cultural council stuff, which the cultural council just officially finished its grant cycle, and I'm transitioning into working with finance to get the contracts out for all those lovely organizations. We had 18 applicants. We were able to fund, I believe, 12 grant requests, which is really nice. Definitely a smaller pot of money this grant cycle, but hopefully next year it'll look a little bit better as we beef up the cultural council's own grant writing for the coming year. So that's all what I have without having access to my notes. And again, apologies, I wasn't expecting this technical difficulty, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Thanks, Chantal.
And if it sounds like I'm under a desk, I'm literally under a desk.
Yeah. Any questions, Matt?
Yeah, I was just curious, if you guys were doing photos as well, with the passports, or do they have to bring in their own photos?
Thanks, that's a great question. They do have to bring in their own photos. I know that a lot of businesses on the island do offer photo services, and we didn't want to take away from that. So we're encouraging people to go get their own pictures because I cannot take them.
I think this is a great service to reenact and make sure it continues out here. Doesn't make sense that people had to go off island to worry about getting a passport so you can go off island. I mean, there was a little contradiction there. I have some questions in that is there any sort of pressing issue that you see moving forward, Chantal and David, that you could use our assistance with either resources or bringing in people to help you, or maybe that's a question we should have talked about last month and maybe we could postpone it till next month. But I think now that this is sort of planning time for everybody, it's a little bit of a breather till we get into April. I would personally love, as I said earlier before the meeting was recorded, that there's some new department heads that maybe we should bring in, obviously, especially the police chief. Let's give her time to, find out where her desk is and unpack a few things. But I think it would be important for us to introduce ourselves to her in a small forum. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to the open house last week, but I heard it was pretty well attended. So that's a plus, because this is the time of the year I'm sure she's gathering as much information in a short period of time. So David and Chantal, do we have any potential people scheduled for the next couple meetings?
So we're hoping to get someone from the restaurant industry on a meeting. That was the hope for this month. We started the conversation, I believe, from November, and it didn't work out because people are, of course, traveling. There's a lot going on in the restaurant world right now on the island, and it's really hard to have conversations with them because there is no longer a restaurant association. So I'm literally hopping from restaurant owner to restaurant owner to get a good sense of what's going on, especially with the off season. So it would be really nice to get a representative from that group on to talk to us.
What about lodging? Garrison, has there been any conversation about getting either a lodging association going or just having you all meet quarterly?
We had one. I was actually one of 3 people on the board of that lodging association. The other being John Bettina, who has since left, and Mark Anthony. And I think it's just kind of it petered out a little bit after Jamie Holmes left. We tried for a little bit, but the meetings that we had were very low attended. So we just felt like it was something that's just on the back burner for right now. We all have lines to each other on the back end. So if we have anything to share, then we kind of throw it out there. But in general, we're not as well grouped together as we have been in the years past.
Yeah, because I know the old lodging association website doesn't seem to be functioning at all. And I think, David, did you have to take it down off a site because people were complaining?
Yeah, I believe I did take it off the site because it just, it goes to a dead link, and that doesn't look good. So the only thing that's out there that is up to date is the daily or weekly room list.
I think my experience with associations is everyone comes together when there's an issue.
And that's where we during COVID, we rallied on that as a group, but post that everyone started doing their own things to figure out what they were doing. So it kind of disappeared. And with the association websites, while we do have some dues that we have collected many years ago that are still sitting in the coffers, there's no plans to collect anything new in the near future. And it was just, we'd be burning through it for a website that wasn't in existence. So kind of.
So how does that relate, David, to the travel and lodging brochure?
Good question, because I'm just starting to get that going for this year, and we're gonna be kind of sorting things out in the next day or two with how to go forward with it. So we'll have more like next month.
Because it was always a joint publication
Mhm.
with,
And
which is hate to say a year ago, years and years ago, throwback when lodging did their own, visitor services did their own under, it was called the Information Center back then. And then that just didn't make sense that we had multiple publications that had multiple groups paying. Well, I think it's important that we have a unified voice from any of the organizations, and because we're here to help them. Any other questions for Chantal or David? Okay, so maybe if we can proceed to try to get someone from restaurants, that would be helpful, although I understand this is their planning time, busy time, renovation time, close time. And thank you, David, for keeping up the restaurant list. I think that, helps everyone.
Sure.
Okay. David, any comments from your report?
No, actually, I submitted our stats for the fourth quarter, specifically December. Pretty much the the numbers are strong. The other thing I included was the yearly stats for the last 30 years. Gosh. For visitors, and we're pretty steady, and especially starting to move back up in terms of number of visitors total. So that's all I have at this point. If anybody has any questions about the stats, otherwise we're open Monday through Friday right now, 9 to 5, and so we're in our winter mode and planning as well.
I think it's interesting to look at the spreadsheet you did since 1993. Talk about a numbers game. Obviously, that has a lot to do with the internet and access, and then iPhones and, all sorts of things where people did not necessarily walk into a storefront. I think it's still interesting to say that you still had over 20,000 people this year come through Federal Street.
And the other part of this that I didn't include, but is the numbers for like phones and mailing. Those are going down compared to years past, like you say, with the internet and the phones and so forth. So people are getting their information elsewhere, but are still coming in person and find out what's going on that wouldn't be able to get by phone. So and we're there, and we like to want to be here and have some meet people.
And where's the Cisco van? So I think that's obvious.
Just so you know, that Cisco van's at least 1/4 to 1/3 of the daily questions.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise me. It's a definite destination that's unique, and we're happy to have it. Anything else that we need to discuss going forward? Any changes? Any updates on office or anything that you think we need to discuss at length? Peter?
Not to discuss at length, but I just wanted to say if going forward you find yourself with us sitting here and nobody to speak to us, I don't know whether you all feel you know as much as you need to know about the Nantucket Civic League, but I'd be happy if there's a sort of an empty slot and you want me to fill you in on some of our initiatives. I don't think you know everything about what the Civic League does because there's so much of it that we're still working on and haven't announced, but we have some stuff in the works that might be of interest. And I see it not as informing you so much as maybe just kind of giving you some opportunities to brainstorm and say, gee, I didn't know you did that. Maybe we ought to think about a connection. So that's on the table. And I would say it's probably an offer that would be withdrawn starting in April or May. So it's only applying to the kind of, if you go ahead with nobody to speak next month or something.
Thanks, Peter. I don't think people have any idea how many area organizations are part of the Civic League. and you know, even just the makeup of the group. But obviously it does great work. All right, anything else? I mean, it's a really short meeting. It's January. I appreciate everyone showing up. Matt, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. I had a quick question for David. What about emailings, David? Do we get a lot of requests or do you get a lot of requests for emailings as far as like digital copies of maps or anything like that?
Yes, we do. We usually get about one a day and or maybe two a day in the spring to email the actual paper copy of the brochure, and you know, to any other questions kind of related to the island or trying to get here. So we do get at least once or twice, one or two, maybe three a day, and you know, we answer as best as we can.
You David, you could get a recorded number of how many downloads.
I used to, the town changed the way we were able to figure out the downloads because that was one thing that was gradually increasing, was how many people were downloading. That was the other thing too, was the restaurant list, particularly during the pandemic. A lot of people were out there looking for it. There was like, I think 10,000 of one month or 14,000 another month. But I've been trying to get the IT department to give us access to the stats, but they've changed that around to a different format. So that's why I'm not providing that as like I used to.
Should you ask again? I mean,
I will ask again. I've been, you know, it's a little frustrating.
I'm sorry, David, if I can chime in. It's more
Yeah.
than the IT department not wanting to provide it. It's not that they don't want to provide it. There was a software that was built into our website that gave us access to those stats. Unfortunately, the web host no longer carries that contract with that software that was built into it. So we simply don't have access to that information anymore. It's being transferred over to another company, but we're just in the waiting game. So we will
Okay.
get that information again. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to convey that they didn't want to do it. I was just kind of
Yeah. No, I
express my
figured
frustration of not being able to get the stats anyway. So
I figured it was another technical difficulty of some out of your control. All right, Peter.
Just one other thought. I wanted to comment on the notion of having the new police chief invited as a speaker, and I'm very, very strongly in favor of our engaging with her and doing so soon, because there's kind of a window of opportunity. I know she's busy getting herself educated about this place, and I see the next maybe couple of months before the season, envelops us as an opportunity for us to offer to tell her something about what we know about, a sector of the activities here that bring people from off island who don't live here. And so my suggestion is to offer an invitation, say, this is not about you telling us all about what you plan to do in community policing, which I'd like to hear something about, but more about us to tell you about what we now do and can do, and what kind of a resource we are for the police department. So it's kind of a suggestion going forward. And I think if we don't take advantage of the opportunity before the season, we probably won't have a realistic opportunity until next fall.
No, I agree, and I think that was my suggestion, is we need to interface with her so she knows who we are. Obviously, she comes from an area that's got a lot of arts and culture and small town ability seasonally as well. So I think some of that, she would understand. But I don't know if Northampton has a department like this other than for meeting planning and group tours and things. But yeah, and plus I just think it's a friendly thing to do. We need to make sure. Matt, did you have a question?
Yeah, for Chantal three or David, I was just seeing if there was any headway made on the possible bathroom remodel as well. I know you were tracking
Yes.
in and out of there and, you know, kind of using that as some leverage as well.
Yes, so we were hoping that we would have fallen into the winter / early spring cycle of the bathroom remodels, because there are a number of town restrooms that are being remodeled or plan to be remodeled this year. Unfortunately, we did not, so it's being pushed just because where we fall on the schedule is the dead of summer, and that's not happening. So it's being pushed to late fall, early winter of 2024. But it's coming. I'm very excited.
And we will be all right operationally this summer, knowing that's not going to happen.
We won't have a choice but to be all right, unfortunately.
Okay, keep those doors unlocked. All right, any other, Garrison?
Yeah, thanks. One more thing. Talking about that restaurant menu, David has said multiple times, and we all know it's probably the #1 clicked thing on Nantucket. And is there ever been a thought to put something? I'm looking at it right now. There's a gap at the bottom. Do we put any information there about Cisco Shuttle or anything else that people are asking about, or anything else we want people to know about on that, since that is being viewed by almost everybody who comes to the island?
The Cisco Shuttle's got its own link on the same visitor information tab. So that's there, and that's often click through. The only thing is that the only thing I can say about that is there's a lot of information out there about the Cisco van or the Cisco brewery, and that is not correct, other than, you know, through what the Cisco website is, as well as what we have. So we have the, you know, the time that the van runs, and right now it's not running until at least April, you know, for like Daffodil Weekend. But it's there. It's just in a different spot.
That's a really good idea, though, Garrison, because I didn't even think about that. You know, if we had a link, let's say at the end of the restaurant list, looking for the Cisco Shuttle, here you go, or looking for things to do on the island, click here. It could even host a link for the available rooms for the night, you know, just to make it easier for people to find everything in one location. Even though, David, as you said, we do have those separate links. That's a good idea for something like that, Garrison. I like that.
We fight so hard to get people to go all these different pages, but if we have one that's our driving traffic, might as well use it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Just so long as it's easy to read on your phone. That's sometimes you have problems. Go ahead, Peter.
Since we got some time here, one other question. Do you ever get questions to any extent from people who want to know more about family scalloping directly to visitor services?
No.
Okay, thanks.
That's an interesting question. Go ahead, Liz.
I just wanted to bring up that actually would be an awesome idea to put something at the bottom of the restaurant link, because, you know, we still have people coming over for day trips in the wintertime. And so, you know, we try to, you know, give them as much information as we have, send them to the visitor center. But that would be awesome, because if they could just pull that up, and then they would have a broader, you know, knowledge of it. Would having everything in one spot would be awesome. So you could even tail it to, you know, toward this time of year. It would help us at Highline, that's for sure.
Yeah. Shanta?
We're also working with the comms department to clean up our web page a little bit. There are a lot of links on there that make it really hard to find the information that you're even looking for. So we're working on kind of consolidating some of those links and putting more relevant information up there. So stay tuned on that. That's kind of a long winter project, as we quite literally click through every single link on our webpage and figure out which ones to remove or consolidate.
Now that time-consuming project. All right, anything else for David or Shanta? No, well, you all get a reprieve. It's an early meeting today. Thank you all for showing up in January. We'll be in touch about the police chief and see if maybe we can't get her to put us on her schedule as sort of a meet and greet on our end. I would just want to make sure that if we invite her, that we do a little roll call of the membership to make sure we're all able to be at whatever that meeting is.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people are traveling and you know, and whatever. So I think that would be important. We all need to have our little faces visible when she's here. So, all right, anything else for today? All right, thank you all. Shantan, David, thanks so much as always. Nice to see statistical reports. I love 30 years of numbers. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved by Peter.
Peter, second.
Second.
Thanks, Matt. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy today. It's going to be windy tomorrow and rain, but 50 degrees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you
everybody.
all.
Hi, everyone.